Imagine a company that loses money every time a customer walks through the door. Not a little bit of money, not breaking even to grow later. I mean a deep, bleeding hole in their pockets for every single person who signs up. Now, imagine the world's biggest banks saw that bleeding hole and decided the company was worth $500 billion anyway. Welcome to the newest version of the most dangerous game on Earth. We went from a cool chatbot to a $7 trillion gamble in just 24 months. The people writing the checks are about to have the rudest awakening since the world broke in 2008. On November 30th, 2022, the game changed forever. It was just a regular Wednesday. Engineers were checking their work, coffee was flowing. Then a company called OpenAI dropped ChatGPT. In 48 hours, the internet had a new obsession. People used it to write breakup texts, do their homework, and explain the secrets of the universe using Minecraft terms. Think about scale. Instagram took 2.5 years to reach 100 million users. Facebook took 4.5 years. ChatGPT did it in 60 days. Inside the world's biggest tech giants, it was total panic. Executives were having meltdowns in their glass offices. They had the technology first. They wrote the papers, but they were too scared to release it. They were terrified of lawsuits and bad press. OpenAI didn't care. They threw the doors open and walked right in. In this game, being first is the only thing that matters. Within weeks, Microsoft threw $10 billion onto the table. Google scrambled to launch their own version, which failed immediately on live television. The casino was open, and everyone was terrified of being left outside. By 2023, the world went crazy. If your company even mentioned AI, you were basically printing your own money. People were raising $30 million for apps that summarized other apps. We reached a level of absurdity that shouldn't be possible. But the real insanity was the hardware. These little computer chips, small circuit boards, became more valuable than gold or oil. The man selling them started wearing leather jackets like he was a rock star, and in this economy, he was. To play this game, you have to pay. Renting a cluster of these chips costs $36,000 a day. That is over $1 million every month just to keep the lights on. Yet companies were hoarding these chips like doomsday preppers hoarding beans. People were literally smuggling bags of cash across borders just to get their hands on them. The party was in full swing. The champagne was flowing, but nobody bothered to ask how much the bill was going to be. In early 2025, the face of the revolution, Sam Altman, sent a tweet that made every investor's heart stop. He admitted they were losing money on their Pro subscriptions. Think about that. They charge $200 a month and they still lose money on every single person. The more successful they are, the faster they go broke. When they first set their prices, they didn't do market research, they didn't do a cost analysis. They picked two numbers, saw which one people complained about less, and went with that. They valued a $500 billion company based on vibes. The math is ugly. In 2024, they made nearly $4 billion, but they lost $5 billion. They didn't just fail to make a profit, they lost more than they earned. To make this whole thing work, the industry needs to make $2 trillion a year by 2030. Right now, they're only making $200 billion. That's a 10 times gap. It's a goal that looks like a hockey stick graph drawn by someone who's never played hockey. But there's a darker secret in this casino. The cards they're playing with, they might be stolen. To train these intelligent machines, the giants didn't just learn. They scraped the entire internet without asking. They took the work of artists, writers, musicians, and journalists. When the creators asked why their work was being used to make billion-dollar companies, the giants said they were just learning. The world didn't agree. The New York Times sued, authors sued, everyone sued. The David in this story, The people who actually create things are fighting back against the Goliaths who took their life's work for free. By mid-2024, the euphoria started to fade. Something more dangerous took its place: doubt. The hype was loud, but the math was starting to look like a nightmare. So if the losses are this bad, why hasn't the bubble popped? In 1999, the last time this happened, companies had no money in 17 foosball tables. But today, the people inflating the bubble are the ones with the biggest wallets on the planet. They have buy an entire country if we're bored money. Microsoft prints billions from software, Google prints billions from ads. They aren't investing in AI because it's a good deal. They're investing because they're terrified. They're scared that if they slow down, they'll become the next BlackBerry. They're scared the world will change overnight and they'll be left holding an empty bag. It's a poker game where everyone has unlimited chips. No one folds, no one blinks. They just keep raising the stakes, waiting for the other person to break. But every game has an end. History tells us that bubbles burst when people can no longer pretend. Usually, it happens when the money disappears. If interest rates go up and borrowing gets expensive, the cash spigot shuts off. If that happens, the AI bubble ends instantly. Or it happens when there's a massive, embarrassing failure, a scandal, a giant lawsuit that freezes everything, a lab revealing that the losses are even worse than we thought. Right now, the giants are still spending. The cracks are showing, but the floor is still holding. For now. We're not at the explosion. We're at the tightening, the inhale before the scream, the tension before the snap. So, how do we fix the game? The answer isn't in the tech, it's in the rules. Just like after the Great Depression, we need rules to keep the giants from playing with our lives. We need to protect what people create. We need to make sure that vibes are never more important than reality. The biggest power you have is the power to stop pretending, to look at the math and see it for what it is. The giants may have unlimited chips, but they don't own the casino. We do.
The giants have unlimited chips to keep pretending, but you don't. Like this video if you're ready for the truth, and subscribe before the math finally catches up and the tension snaps. We are living in the inhale before the scream. Don't be the one left holding an empty bag.